What if the thing holding you back isn't your trauma, your ex, your childhood, your finances, or your circumstances? What if there's an unconscious refusal to tell yourself the truth? Hi, I'm Dr. Jo Messenger. Thanks for tuning in. In this video, let's discuss why radical honesty is one of the foundations of healing, growth, and transformation. And also, let's discuss how denial, perfectionism, people pleasing, and spiritual bypassing can keep people stuck, and how facing the truth can set you free. Have you ever noticed how some people seem to heal really quickly, while others stay stuck for decades? They read the books, they attend the workshops, they listen to the podcasts, they repeat the affirmations, yet nothing much really changes. Why? Because true healing doesn't begin with positivity. True healing begins with the truth. And the truth, it can be uncomfortable. Many people think their biggest problem is trauma. Many people think that their biggest problem is somebody else or something else. Many people think their biggest problem is heartbreak, is money or health or some other sort of challenge. But often the biggest obstacle isn't the wound. Often the biggest obstacle is the denial surrounding the wound. You can't heal what you're unwilling to acknowledge. You have to feel it to heal it. You can't transform what you're pretending isn't there. And you can't move beyond the problem while you're busy explaining why it isn't really a problem. I see this all the time. Someone says, "I'm not angry." Meanwhile, they're criticizing everyone around them. Or they say, "I'm over it." Yet they're still talking about the same betrayal even 10 years later, 15, 20 years later. But their nerve system still tightens every time the person's name is mentioned. And this isn't criticism, it's awareness. And awareness is where healing begins. Awareness is where healing can begin. And the truth is, most people aren't lying to others. Well, some people are relentlessly lying to others pretty much every time they open their mouth. But that's not what I'm referring to here. What I'm referring to here is most people aren't intentionally lying to others, but they are at the same time lying to themselves. And again, not intentionally, but often unconsciously. Because the truth can sometimes feel pretty uncomfortable. It can feel uncomfortable to admit I feel exhausted. It can feel uncomfortable to admit I feel resentful, I feel lonely, I feel jealous, I've been addicted, I've been people pleasing, I feel scared. What else? I feel misjudged. I misjudge someone else's character, someone else's intentions, or maybe I lost an ideal friend, an opportunity, a job, an investment, a home, a car, a project because I backed the wrong horse, or whatever it is that's relevant for you. Or I'm pretending everything's fine. However, the moment you tell the truth, something extraordinary can happen. The fog begins to lift. When you're driving through when you're driving through fogs, and maybe frogs too, you can't see where you're going. You can't see the obstacles. You can't see the road ahead. And that's what denial does. It clouds your vision, whereas truth clears your windscreen. you can finally see. And once you can see, you can choose. One of the greatest forms of self-sabotage that I see today is what many people call spiritual bypassing. They use spiritual language to avoid the emotional work. Everything is love and light. Everything is positive thinking. Everything is manifestation. But underneath, unresolved grief, unresolved shame, unresolved anger, and unresolved fear. Positive thinking does not heal buried wounds. Awareness heals buried wounds. Compassion heals buried wounds. Responsibility and accountability heal buried wounds. And before anyone misunderstands me, being radically honest doesn't mean beating yourself up. It doesn't mean sitting in shame. It doesn't mean blaming anyone else. It doesn't mean making yourself or anyone else wrong. Quite the opposite. Radical honesty says, this is where I am, not this is who I am, because there's a difference. Where you are today is not your identity. Where you are today is not your identity, it's your current location. And once you know your location, you can chart a new course from here. Think about it like a GPS. If you put in the wrong starting point, you'll never reach the destination. And healing works the same way. You must first be honest with where you are now, physically, emotionally, mentally, and spiritually. If you put in the wrong starting point of your physical GPS, that you are whatever, but you're actually nutritionally deficient, sedentary, full of sugar, full of alcohol or whatever else, or by doing that, by putting in the wrong starting point, you're making it really hard for yourself to get to your ideal destination. And likewise for your current emotional, mental, and spiritual positions. So ask yourself, how is my health really? How are my relationships really? How are my finances really? How is my emotional state really? How connected am I to my true self really? And not the Instagram version, not the version you tell your acquaintances, not the version that you just wish was true, but the real version of now. And truth is not your enemy. Truth is your liberation. When people finally see the hidden trauma pattern, the buried grief, the unconscious belief, the emotional wound that's been underpinning or running your life, running their life, their transformation accelerates. Suddenly, they stop fighting shadows. Suddenly, they stop blaming everyone else. Suddenly, they stop repeating the same old cycle. Suddenly, they stop enrolling everybody else to enable them in that same old cycle, and they finally start healing. The truth is not there to punish you. The truth is there to guide you. But you do need to be willing to see it. And every breakthrough starts with honesty. Every healing journey starts with honesty. Every meaningful transformation starts with honesty. And here's what I've learned after decades of helping people to heal and to live the life that they were born for. The truth may sting for a moment, but denial steals years. Denial can steal decades. So, what truth have you been avoiding? Not because you're weak, not because you're broken, but because you're human. What truth have you been avoiding? And what might become possible if you finally face it? The moment you stop running from the truth, you stop unwittingly running from yourself, from your true self. And that's where your healing begins. That's where your freedom begins. And that's where your ideal future begins. So if this topic resonates with you, I'd love to hear from you. What truth are you finally ready to face? And if you know someone who needs to hear this message, please share this live video with them. And if you're watching from YouTube or Instagram, remember to subscribe, follow, and turn on notifications, because healing starts with truth, and the truth can set you free.